What? We are live.
We're live.
Hello.
We're in the wrong side, Pat.
Oh my God.
Pat's already
How
had
did,
way too much to drink. Hi.
thankfully, I hope our viewer doesn't mind.
Oh, yeah. Hi, everybody. Happy
Xander.
Wednesday. There's Xander. Welcome to the Cheers, the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. We are very excited to be here on, once again, a busy news week. How are you doing, Pat?
I am doing just fine. I had
Yeah.
a lovely work day and I have a lovely beverage and a lovely co-host and lovely audience. And
Come on, look at that.
I have a lovely cat outside meowing to come in right now, which you could probably hear on the mic. I don't know, but I'm gonna be
I
a
heard,
bad cat dad for the night and leave him out during the show.
we have to make some tough choices. I have my three-legged Sandy out there. My poor doggy just had to have her leg amputated a couple months ago, and she's hobbling along thinking she's fierce. So we might hear some crazy barking sometime soon. So hey, anything you want to talk about this week? Any important stories you want to get to, or just want to tell me?
Let's see. I did pull a clip that kind of sums it all up. So I'm going to just show this clip right between us because the graphics are not dialed in here. But here we go. This sums up pretty much everything. That would be a fire NATO, which was a term I didn't know existed until this week. But apparently the California fires are so bad that we're having fire NATOs, which is obviously a fire combined with a tornado.
With a shark inside.
With the shark, it's a mess.
It's a mess. It is a disaster. How close are you to the fires? I know you're in Northern California.
Yeah, I'm well safely out of range of it, but the entire summer has been pretty much overcast with just smoke, residue and whatnot floating around. I mean, we haven't had clear skies at all because of it. So it's kind of robbing us of our summer, which is kind of the new normal.
Your hot back summer.
Yeah. Hot girl summer.
Hot back summer. I had such high hopes back in May.
Right. Yeah. How's LA? Are you guys near fires at all?
Not right now that I know of. It always says that it's like dangerous air quality. Both my kids respond to it much worse than I do, and they're constantly like, drippy and not breathing well. And for years since they were little, there are times that they can't go outside to play because of inclement weather, which is always just like smoke. I mean, it's that's gotta affect everybody something or other internally. It's not healthy. So but no, luckily we're not near a fire sharknado. Crazy.
Sharknado. Yeah. So let's look at the actual news. I mean, that was news, of course, but that's our.
But here's something better.
That's our new normal. So let's just move on from that.
Well, look at that. Something positive to lighten the mood. A near total abortion ban that also has the added benefit of offering bounties to individual citizens who turn in anybody providing or seeking an abortion after 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I know all the states bordering Texas are now geared up for everyone coming from Texas, obviously, who needs to. And I listen to NPR all the time because that's what I do. I love listening to propaganda. But they had on, someone obviously explaining how the impact this is going to have on people in Texas. But even when they're doing that, they're putting a good spin on it. Like Texans are used to driving long distances, so driving to these other states is something, Texans are going to be used to. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Is it illegal to go to another state if you're from Texas? Like, can the bounty hunters track you down if you're a Texas resident for?
Right. I mean, I would think that would be the next phase of the Republican
Yeah,
agenda to make that a law. That'll be a nice wedge issue to run on, probably.
Lord. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, for a lot of women who are poor or, from the lower working class economically, they haven't really had all that much access to abortion for a while anyway. But this is really like almost the final nail in the coffin for that state, which is really horrific. But I'm
Right.
sure,
But
yeah, good.
but you know who to blame for that? I mean, it's pretty much.
I'm sure. I am sure there's someone to blame, and I am sure that it starts with Bernie and goes to Jill and
then to Brianna.
Of course, Brianna Joy Gray is always a good one to throw in there. Yeah. That's the work of the still withering crowd, is they are going to keep blaming anyone who didn't vote for their Yaz queen back in 2016.
Right. I'm in that group, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's so absurd, obviously, because I mean, I know we know why it's absurd, but the fact that they just keep trotting this out, and then anytime anybody says anything about 2016, if you're like on the left, it's like, why can't you let that die? I mean, the Democrats are in power right now, right? Like, presumably they could do something, or it's only, ever like powerful if it's a Republican in office, I guess.
Still withering hashtag Jazz. What's up, Jazz? It's crazy to me that we have to relitigate 2016 forever, because it will always be an excuse. I mean, they're even bringing out Nader now.
Oh my God, I saw that. That's so crazy. And of course, they're going to blame, what was it, like 10,000 people in Florida who voted for Nader, and 300,000 Democrats who voted for George W. Bush. But they're gonna blame the Nader crowd while they trot fucking George W. Bush out and give him throat lozenges and dance on Ellen with him.
Right. The mess never ends. So Gunnels has it right.
Yeah. So I don't know that he was intending for this to be a blame Hillary tweet, because it was 5 days ago, so probably it wasn't, but I took it that way. And I feel like anyone who voted for Hillary Clinton or Trump, while the mainstream corporate media just lambasted Bernie, anyone who supported those two people who were not fully behind Medicare for All has the death of 5,666 people from last month on their shoulders, on their hands.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is Democrats haven't ran for the policies that their base has supported, which has depressed the turnout in every election since, I don't know how long, but at least 2016. I mean, it was clear that people wanted Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, all the issues, everyone supported, but they were very anti-Bernie because of the propaganda out there. But anyway, the bottom line is Democrats haven't run on the platform that the public supports. And when they do pretend to run on the platform, it's pretty transparent. They're not going to back it up. And people have lost faith and enthusiasm for Democrats. So,
yeah,
that's who you blame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't keep blaming, scaring people about the Supreme Court, and then when you're in control, you don't do anything to pack the Supreme Court or to fight for, a justice who you want. I mean, listen, not that I'm a big Merrick Garland fan. He's ridiculous. That should never have been the person that Obama put forward anyway, but there was no fight for him regardless. So, yeah.
Yeah, no fight. And, they just were under the assumption that Hillary would win. So none of the fighting mattered. But,
right.
If there's one thing Democrats can do, it's lose and disappoint people.
Hate to lose, yeah.
So
and there's also Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and,
she should have resigned.
should have resigned in 2015 when we still had a majority, or when we still would have, when
We had a
still
Dem president,
yeah.
of course. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, Sirota gets it right. Dems control the Congress, White House. The party has power to expand the court, make DC a state, protect voting rights, enact a $15 minimum wage, and pass a real climate policy. This doesn't happen, it's because the party is choosing that outcome. Direct your anger accordingly. So I mean, that's what losing the midterms looks like. You don't do these things that your base wants. All those things are overwhelmingly popular. Majority support across both parties, even. So
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it is just such a joke that they're going to keep blaming Bernie and random voters who voted for Jill Stein or somebody else in the third party. I mean, it's really ludicrous, because they never ever look to the people in power, their own party, who has been selling us out for 40 years. They're just never going to do it. They're always going to punch down to random voters. And what they also won't do ever, because it would show their deep racism, is there was like 4 million Obama voters who did not come out to vote for Hillary, because they said it did not make a difference. And a large percentage of that group was Black. And their lives, they saw no difference except for possibly losing their houses and any gained wealth under Obama. And they did not want to do more of the same, right? So.
Yeah, but the parliamentarian. Yeah. And Democrats hide behind this tradition of norms in Washington. Like, oh, we can't get rid of the filibuster because it'll hurt us when Republicans are in power. Republicans will do whatever meets the moment, and we're up against that. So that argument is just trash. I mean, norms are long gone after Trump,
But by the way, they were long gone before, right? So, and I know we keep coming back to this, that is just that argument presupposes that Democrats are trying to win, and that they're just sort of cowards, as opposed to they're all batting for the same team and they're just pretending that there's some obstruction there that they can't possibly get beyond. But I actually think they're getting exactly what they want. Democrats are winning. The Democrats in power are doing just as well as they want to be doing right now.
Right. And they wanted all these people evicted. Like this idea that, oh, they just blew it. I mean, they literally went on vacation knowing that the eviction moratorium was going to expire.
Right.
And they're sitting back on false. The media is letting them get away with saying that that Biden is meeting some of these campaign promises. They always hype up all these student loan forgiveness plans that Biden's putting in place, like he's doing that. But he forgave student loans for disabled people that couldn't work and repay their loans already. They were getting no money from those people. I mean, as a whole. And so to take credit for that, they take credit for suspending student loan payments, which the most vile person on earth, Betsy DeVos, Trump's Secretary of Education, she did that because they saw the benefit to the economy for it. It's not like it wasn't some self-interested thing. It was like you must do this.
Right.
And so there, if the media was doing its job, they wouldn't allow that. They would call this stuff out. Like, Biden, you said in your first 100 days, you would do X, and you haven't done X.
Right.
But of course they don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And the eviction thing is really tragic, especially because they knew that the Supreme Court had made that decision back in June. I think it was in June, that they had to approach this through legal channels, through Congress, and they just all backed out, because the truth is BlackRock's going to come in and sweep up all these properties and enact their plan for us to be a feudal country. We're on the way.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that Biden did make the move to try to the executive order extended or whatever avenue he chose, but because it was so clear from the Supreme Court that they dictated that Congress must legislate the issue.
Right.
And then Congress went on vacation. So, I mean, Biden was we forced Biden's hand, and kudos, in my opinion, to Cori Bush for that moment. Still, I'm going to give her credit for that. They did force his hand to to force him to act. But at the end of the day, we were still going to lose this fight because Supreme Court mandated that it be
And
legislated
the
by
fact that
Congress.
Congress isn't doing anything about it and on vacation, and that it was like, Cori Bush got a lot of attention for that, and I was also really pleased that she did that. But the fact that the media isn't talking about it every day, millions of people becoming homeless during a huge surge in a global pandemic right now, even if it's only out of self-interest, we shouldn't want people living on the street. Like, even if you're so brazenly only interested in your own health, that is a public health nightmare.
Well, and Republicans will be able to pretend that they wanted to save these homeless people. They wanted to say, they're not doing it now, but I mean, all these things happen after the fact when you're the party out of power. When you're the party out of power, when you're the minority party, you get to say, oh, look at all the bad things happening now. We wouldn't have done that. And Biden controls all the levers of power.
Right.
So,
I mean, for years before Trump got elected, he said that he knew how to beat ISIS or Al Qaeda. Remember, he would say, like, I have a plan. I'm going to wait till I get elected.
Yeah. Well, I'm really stoked that he's going to end cancer soon, because that was always one of the things he said as president, he would end cancer. Joe
Only
Biden
for
would.
people who have health insurance, though.
I mean, ending cancer for all who can afford it.
Yeah.
The
government is purposely ruining small-time renters to consolidate properties into BlackRock. That's exactly what's happening. Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So
that's a good news item. What else do we got?
Let's do the who said it, red or blue.
Okay. Oh, you're going out of order. You're keeping me on my toes. I like it.
Am I? Oh, yeah. No, we have more news still. Holy crap.
I forgot. More news.
No, let's go to the rest of the news. I was ignoring. We have Gavin Newsom. So let's get Gavin Newsom.
We got the Gavin Newsom recall. Are you are we just talking about it? We got the Gavin Newsom recall. That's not looking great. He's within the margin of error. And the crazy thing is, I think he enjoys something like 48% popularity in our state. And the person who will most likely replace him if he is recalled, I think, has an 18% approval rating.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not it. See, anything can happen when you're live. That's not it. That's our rhetoric. Oh no. We're in the Newsom file, my friend.
It's on the way here.
Hire our PA. We only are going to hire union from now on.
Right. Why am I not seeing? I have the window open here.
The Newsom stuff. And so, so I'm just going to keep talking while you're looking. Yeah. What we're being asked to do. Oh my God. Somebody just wrote, Jazz, that Larry Elder's at 27%. That's really not good. So Larry Elder is like, the Trump of California. He's anti-mask, anti-vax, sexist, just kind of disgusting. He used to have a show, like a radio show, a right-wing radio show. He's just sort of an embarrassment on many right-wing levels. And yet the fact that they are this close and that Newsom might be recalled really shows, like, once again, how Democratic voters and progressives, or the left, is being asked once again to hold their nose and vote for somebody because the alternative is really evil. And it truly is evil. Like, I had the luxury, this has been the worst 2 years of my life, but of being in California for the general. So I just could not vote for Joe Biden. I just could not actually actively vote for corruption. And I wrote in Bernie. But I had the luxury of knowing that it sort of didn't matter. And it was like my own little, moment for myself, since we're such a blue state. This feels different. And it is really terrifying, because I don't want our state to turn into Texas or Florida. Right.
And the thing is that, again, Newsom can appeal to his base and do things that would bring out Democrats, get them excited about, hey, you know, we're passing ranked choice voting, for example, like this
Yeah.
graphic shows.
Or single payer, which he always pretends to be, he's for single payer, and then they shut it down. Right. That was
Right.
the last one that he
And
did. Yep.
the first thing he did, he approved all these fracking permits as soon as he came into
So back
office.
to that
So
fire Sharknado.
he showed immediately that he wasn't going to be a true progressive, and is shocked that he's not getting support.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, and the bottom line is, and the Democratic strategy in the state, for people who don't know, is they're telling people to vote no on the recall and not giving any advice on voting for Democrat. So the way it works, there's the recall has a two-part question ballot. You vote yes or no on the recall. If it's a yes, you want to recall him, you have to pick a candidate to vote for. The Democratic Party hasn't supported backing any other candidate. Their strategy is to just vote yes, vote no on the recall, and not pick anyone after that. So they literally are strategizing. It's Newsom or bust is their strategy.
Their rationale, they say, is that it's too confusing because the last time somebody was recalled, Gray Davis, I can't remember what year exactly,
Schwarzenegger won.
Yeah. So he was against Schwarzenegger. Well, that time they did give a second person to vote for, I think his lieutenant governor. So even if you voted no on the recall for Gray Davis, you were supposed to then vote for, just in case he's recalled, this is the lieutenant governor. But then everybody voted for Arnold Schwarzenegger because he was one of the biggest movie stars in the world. I don't think this is a valid comparison. If Larry Elder beats Gavin Newsom, that is not the same, it's not the same situation.
Yeah.
But the fact is, Newsom could have resigned, and automatically his lieutenant governor would have become the governor, and the recall would have been aborted.
He could have ended this all. And you're getting that strategy from Christine Pelosi, which is the heir to Nancy Pelosi's throne. She's a allegedly progressive California Democrat, but she's a perfect example of a California Democrat that's a progressive. They're not that progressive. Right. But even she suggested that he back out. But this just shows the corruption and power in the party that Newsom as governor holds, that he can basically clear the field and say, I don't want opponents. It's me or nobody.
It's me or bust. It's me or the whole state goes down. And he is willing to sacrifice. And the truth is, I think he would look like a hero if he had resigned and then made it his mission to, sacrificed himself so that California could remain a Democratic governor, and then started working on, I heard this earlier when I was listening to Blind Faith, but like he could have done what Stacey Abrams did down in Georgia and like really committed himself to not having this sort of undemocratic recall process, or he could have done something that would have been his signature item. He's from a wealthy political family. He would have kept himself in the news. He would have looked like a hero. And instead we could possibly have, Trump.
We could have this. We could have Larry Elder, who's anti-mask and anti-vax and the whole 9 yards. And
can you imagine somebody with a high profile saying that young people don't contract COVID-19, Pat? Can you imagine anybody in a position of leadership?
Who in the Democratic Party could that be? Joe Biden, maybe?
Yeah.
Joe Biden.
That is where it really, like, this is a gotcha by, Jake Tapper saying this is what California could have. Some moron who says that kids don't get it. And meanwhile, the whole Democratic administration is sending kids off to school where they're getting COVID.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane at this point. But so this is the crux of the problem when, so I'm still torn on who to vote for, to be honest. I mean, I know what a vile person Elder is, and what we could be up against with him. But so the debate is, okay, so what would happen if Elder wins this thing? If he wins, he's governor for a year. What kind of damage can he do in a year? The argument is, well, if you're anti this vote blue no matter who crap, or whatever. I mean, you would hope that some lesson is learned from this. Maybe Democrats can take this loss, which would only be a year, and move more left. But the reality is, what happens when a guy like Newsom loses is the party is going to say we need to be more right because we just lost to a Republican,
Right.
and the
They
shit
always
lives
take
in
the wrong lesson, right?
the shit lives in this state will believe that, because there's so much propaganda out there.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate part. So, like, I don't want to vote for Newsom. I think Newsom's a fucking villain. I might vote for him. I still don't know. I'm debating whether it's worth the potential of people seeing Democrats lost. Will that boost any sort of progressive efforts in the state, long term? Because we would win the governorship back a year later. I just don't
Right. And
know.
does that put enough fear in them? But I mean, my worry is just what you said, and it's, buttressed by 40 years of history, is all they will do is just keep moving right to chase those Orange County voters who aren't happy. The people who don't want the mask mandates, and the anti-vax crowd, and
Right.
listen, Gavin Newsom has given what he got money from Blue Cross. And so that's why the beginning of our vaccine rollout was so atrocious, because instead of doing what states that were really doing well with their rollout and doing it in like their local clinics and healthcare, he gave the contract to Blue Cross, and they just didn't have the same reach or ability to do that. He's really corrupt. I mean, he is a neoliberal Hillary Clinton kind of Democrat, and he's gross.
Wait. He's gross. How could you say he's gross?
Uh,
Does
can
this
you
not look like
imagine taking
Donald?
that picture?
I mean, this is the bouginess we're dealing with. This is our progressive hero in California right here,
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom,
And
posing with
yeah,
and there's a Trump connection, right? Isn't
yeah.
there?
Apart from just the setting and the sleaziness of that photo, that connection, yes, there's an even more salient one, which is that lady is now married to Don Trump Jr., his ex-wife. That's the connection.
Yeah, it's just a good old boy network of rich people here.
So, I mean, you understand why people, when Republicans win, it's often because they are enthusiastic about somebody. And when Democrats win, it's often because their voters are scared about the opposition. And we are deflating enthusiasm by running people who are interchangeable with the people we're supposed to be opposing. I mean, it's like confounding. And I think a lot of people have just given up. There's a reason we have so many non-voters in this country, and it's not their fault as much as the establishment wants to put all the blame on individuals. It just isn't.
100%. I'm so torn on this Newsom thing. I really, if someone has some advice on it, I'm open. I don't want to vote for a shitty Democrat. But I know the impact immediately on California will be him trying to lift all the mandates,
Right.
all the COVID protections that are in place, which
well, here's how I justify
a real direct impact.
It does. It has a real direct impact, but also just in terms of like not voting for corruption, which I decided was going to be my new, like mission in life, that I won't vote for corruption. I think that the recall itself is a little bit corrupt. That's how I'm justifying the fact that I voted no on the recall. Because it feels like I'm not actually voting for Gavin Newsom. I'm voting against the recall. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I understand it. But I'm half in your camp and half in Jazz's camp, in that we have a Democratic majority, super majority. Well, we would lose the super majority, but essentially we have a lot of levers of power in California to stop a bad governor.
Well, you see how they do that all across the country.
Yeah, but the other piece to it is, would the Democrats want to, or would they just pretend they want to stop a lot of this stuff? Because at the end of the day, all those mask mandates and things like that are protecting us in some ways now, they're hurting the capitalist donors. So at the end of the day, would the Democrats just fake a fight and want that stuff to happen because at the end of the day, their donors are going to be happier that way? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
All
right, let's move on to who said it, red or blue. I think
something
that's
scary.
Can you read that?
Yeah, if this is the new standard, that failure to take measures to alleviate your own health problems are punishable by doctors refusing treatment, the extension of this logic to obesity will certainly be something.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that too much, right? I mean,
right, like a lot of doctors have been posting on Twitter and social media that they are feeling like they no longer want to treat patients who come in who have not been vaccinated. And that certainly opens up a host of problems.
yeah, I mean, that's a real slippery slope to me, because as he says so then you go to, well, obese people who are more prone to COVID complications and problems. So then you have to get into like, okay, if you're going to blame them for their own situation, well, how many of the obese people are there for medical reasons that they had no choices in their life that put them there?
Right.
It's a dangerous precedent. So, I tend to agree with the statement right here. And who said it? Let's see.
Oh, God.
Fuck.
Wait, can we get back on the screen, or are we off?
Ben Shapiro. We can't be on with the graphic in
We
this.
can't be on with the graphic. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So I had heard about Ben Shapiro for years, but had never had the pleasure of seeing or listening to him until the last month. Now he's like twice been on our show, which is
no, not on our show. Cancel that.
Yeah, no, not on our show. It's our big
open invitation though, Ben Shapiro. Come on anytime. We'll pal it
up. Yeah, but he's got a point. Like, because okay, first of all, I always want to differentiate what I think on a personal level versus what I think we should be doing institutionally. So on a personal level, I will not hang out with anybody who isn't vaccinated. I won't let my kids do it. I'm such a germaphobe that people have to like take their shoes off and wash their hands when they come into the house every single time. So on a personal level, I'm all for that. At an institutional level, for doctors to say that they don't want to treat somebody who comes in who might have questionable morals, that's different from when they weren't being covered by PPE, right? Like, to me, it's like, well, if they don't want to put their health in danger, that is one thing. And that I actually really do understand. But this is more, and I mean, I get it, but like anger at people who brought this on themselves. And as Ben Shapiro, for fuck's sake, pointed out, like, okay, well, then what do you do with somebody who has lung cancer, or somebody who's a heavy drinker, or somebody who, was in the army and breathed in all of the, gross chemicals that, like Joe Biden's convinced that his son died because of the chemicals he inhaled when he was in Iraq, right? Like, there's lots of choices that we make for different reasons, and they're not always going to be palatable to the person who's dealing with you, giving you medical treatment. But geez, if that becomes the new standard for care, that's pretty dangerous.
It's dangerous, and it also, just for how it plays politically, it's a bad look to be so heartless, and the Democrats really are showing their ass. I mean, so this tweet here, gee, sorry to hear that, one less vote for the Trump tard of the future. And that's on a tweet saying a baby younger than one dies from COVID. Like, these are
And
Democrats.
that's a Democrat. That is a, you know, vote blue no matter who guy. I mean, it is really gross. And yeah, as you said, like, what is the objective here? Like, are we trying to encourage people to get vaccinated and trust a system that has always degraded them? Or are we further degrading them and pushing them deeper into their hole, right? So it's not, even selfishly, it's not a smart strategy, but it's really revolting to see people revel in other people's pain.
Right. So the willfully unvaccinated are like drunk drivers. There are many of them out there. Not everyone will cause an accident or kill someone, but each is a tragedy waiting to happen. Shouldn't we treat them accordingly? Whew.
So I don't
Well,
even know what the result is, right? Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, let's treat them accordingly. How does a hospital treat drunk drivers? They give them care. They take care of people who have been in an accident. I mean, it's, you don't want doctors putting their morality on other people. I mean, I want the state to be better than I am, because I might be that guy that says, "Oh, you're not vaccinated, you should fucking die."
Right.
Because I have friends that are at risk of getting, you know,
Yeah.
but the state shouldn't make that choice.
Yeah. You don't want to legislate off of your own, like, you know,
right.
emotions.
I mean,
that's not
protect from me. Like, I shouldn't have that power, and doctors shouldn't either. Doctors don't want this power either. I mean,
yeah,
for the most part.
Well, and also, so then the next part of that, right, is and we can get into this, but like the vaccine passports, and I don't know, I'm not well versed enough in where it could all lead, but I do think it's scary. And I see what's happening now in Israel is, if you've only had 2 vaccinations, your passport's no longer valid. Now you need 3 for it to be a current vaccine passport. And, you know, when you have these enormous pharmaceutical companies making billions of dollars off of these booster shots, and, you know, there's too many interested parties in here for it to be clean. And that does scare me. It does. Even though I will personally say, "Hey, have you been vaccinated? Did you get twice? How far out are you from your second?" Well, like, I will do all that, but I don't know about legislating that.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I mean, I go back and forth a little bit, but I'm not for a mandate. You know, a vaccine mandate to me is too much. I think for jobs dealing with the public, from a government perspective, the government has a right to say, we need to ensure the safety of our employees and not have the government inflict harm on people. So people should have mandates. And I think businesses should also have that right to say, we're providing a safe environment for our customers, so we're insisting on mandates. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's a whole nother step to say from the government, everyone must have mandate. Have vaccines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go on.
Well, I see. So Banjo Bill, we have an ethical responsibility to treat the sick, but activists and leftists have an ethical responsibility to learn and stamp out vaccine misinformation, which I totally agree with, except that I feel like we're really riding this boat as it's happening. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, obviously, I guess don't take horse paste, but like, I don't know enough to not know. And I know that ivermectin, or however you pronounce it, is actually something that doctors do prescribe for certain maladies. So like the whole like gloating about people taking it, there are people who are being prescribed that by actual doctors. There are human dosages of it. Of course, you're not supposed to go to a, you know, feed store and get it. But again, we just have to remember we live in a country where, what is it? Almost 30 million people are either uninsured or underinsured, more than that, underinsured, and often can't see a doctor, can't get prescriptions, can't afford them, and do have to go to strange sources to try to cure what ails them. So like, you can't do that for decades and then snap your fingers and be like, "Oh no, but this time we care about you and we want what's right." You just cannot ask people to turn on a dime like that, I think, obviously.
Right. And I believe in the vaccine 100%. I think people should take the vaccine, but I also have to stop myself once in a while and realize that there's a lot of reasons people don't trust big pharma. There's a lot of reasons to not trust the CDC, the FDA. I mean, all, you know, these groups are owned by corporations and they've been writing policy in their own benefits forever. So you gotta take that with a grain of salt. But you also have to look and say, you know, the whole world's not faking a pandemic. You can't be that stupid to think that the COVID isn't real. Is just absurd.
Yeah.
And so when you know, and there's all the misinformation out there about, you know, microchipping and changing your DNA and all that bullshit. It's bullshit.
Bill Gates doesn't do himself any favors by taking over all the farmland and taking over. I mean, like, there's a reason we think he's evil, but yes, I agree, of course. But, you know, somebody wrote a tweet I thought was funny. It was like, this is why I know that the vaccines are safe. And it was like, every, you know, Goldman Sachs is going to require every single banker, every single visitor to their offices to be double vaxxed. And it was like, you know, if the big money people, the people who run the world, are rushing out to take this vaccine, you know, it's as safe as it's as safe as anything we're ever going to get, because
right. But so back to the earlier point about the heartlessness of, like, you need to, if you want to win people over, you need to sell them on the science. You need to get people in their worlds, such as evangelical preachers and whatnot, to take the vaccine. You know, you don't, this stuff like this is Occupy Democrats. So this is allegedly a leftist group that's trying to take over the Democratic Party with progressives and whatnot. But they're supporting a judge taking a parent away from her kid because she wouldn't get vaccinated. And I think that's just
evil,
a level we don't want to get into. And I don't want to be a part of that. I mean,
and that's like, you know, they are, I'm sure, on the payroll of some Dem organization, right? Like, so they're sort of speaking for what used to be my party, which is crazy. And by the way, like, if you go into the story, this woman was advised by her doctor not to take the vaccine because she's had adverse reactions to vaccinations before. But to be gloating about anybody being separated from her child for this, I mean, it's a real sickness. And it's that, you know, it goes back to, I mean, as we know, what they're trying to do is divide everybody. But that, like Matt Taibbi's book, Hate Inc., which I recommend to everybody every chance I get, because the establishment and the people who grift off of the establishment like this, they make tons of money by fueling this hate. That's where it all is. And we suffer, all of us, because of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's garbage. But anyway, so, hey, I slacked off and I didn't do the last photo caption contest. So I'm going to show the photo caption contest we put up 2 weeks ago, and show some of the winners. Of course, Biden doing the OK symbol, clear racist. It's just a still. I mean, there's also there's a BJ joke or three in there, but nobody submitted. I didn't see BJ jokes. I'm really surprised, just gonna be honest. But here's one of the winners. I give these many fucks about you. I think that kind of sums it up, in my opinion.
That's pretty much the whole deal right there. Except it might be confused that he gives 3 fucks about you, and nobody should think that on any level.
Yeah, 3 fucks. Maybe he gives 3 fucks. Maybe. Oops.
We got somebody telling you to drink, Pat.
Well, cheers to that.
Daniel NY1 is saying drink. Oh, okay. Total number of delegates I got in 2008, plus the delegates Kamala got in 2016. I'll drink to that.
Yeah, 0. And cheers. Whoever was
Daniel NY1.
Daniel, cheers. Oh, and I like to drink. I pick my beer based on the week. So it's a unicorn thing, which is like voting for Democrats is some sort of magical cure to everything on earth.
It is magical thinking.
So we ran another photo caption contest, and we short notice didn't get too many responses, but here we go.
But we did get a winner, An anonymous winner.
We did get a winner. This one's a little dark too. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a little dark. Just a
We
little.
voted for dark.
Well. Yep. That is Biden falling asleep with the new Israeli Prime Minister Bennett, right? Prime Minister.
Sure.
Yeah. And maybe he didn't really fall asleep, but boy, what an embarrassment internationally, because there were lots of headlines in other countries that were sure that he was asleep. And if you can believe that the leader of the free world falls asleep in one of these sorts of meetings, if that's on any level believable, which it 100% is, you're in a bad spot, I think. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, but I like the Kamala one because I think that brings up we don't want to get into it, but they've wanted her to be president for so long, and she's gotten she got no delegates, was about to lose California. And my personal opinion is I think they're realizing that she is a nightmare, and I don't think Biden is stepping down. I thought Biden would have been out by now. So if Biden, if they don't get Kamala in soon, which it doesn't look like they're going to, I think they're really switching gears over to Pete Buttigieg. I think that's their next phase, because they gave Kamala Harris immigration. The first thing Biden did was assign immigration to her, which is the most like thankless possible task she could ever get. Like nothing is going to be boosted on her resume over handling Mexico and immigration. So
no. And every chance she gets, she makes an embarrassment of herself. And the fact that they're leaking from Biden's offices how disappointed they are and how worried they are shows that they're just setting something up. So yeah. And she was, as Jazz said, supposed to come and campaign for Newsom, but she just used an excuse recently. Yeah.
Now Bernie's coming.
God, they trot him out every time they want something.
I hate that.
Makes me
I freaking hate that. The fact that, I mean, Bernie's stock just keeps going down. I don't hate Bernie. I know he's in a different role, but he doesn't have to do things like come out and pretend Kamala's progressive. Like don't do that. Don't do that.
I know.
Yeah.
It's really sad. Yeah. Never Pete for me too. I mean, he's just gross on so many different levels. And he even got his thing slipped in, his McKinsey, taxing the road tax, the driving tax, and the infrastructure bill, right? That's somewhere in there in this new infrastructure bill. Because why wouldn't you tax workers on the road when Amazon is like everywhere you look as you're driving on the freeways? It's Amazon trucks, and they pay nothing in federal income tax, but we're going to tax drivers on toll roads to pay for everything.
Yeah, it's like a reverse means testing. Means testing is bad, but it's like a reverse means testing. I mean, the poorer you are, the more likely you are to be impacted by Pete Buttigieg's policy.
Yeah.
All right, but so it's not all bad. We got one good thing lined up.
It's the only.
Or should we show that, or should we take some questions? Let's take some questions. To hell with it.
Questions? Why we got some people here. This is the Ask Me Anything. It is really expensive to be poor, Jazz. That is true. And I hope that your other comment isn't true, because if Pete is the shining star, we're going to see a lot of, it's going to take a lot more alcohol for me to get through it.
Oh, they're going to sell us Pete. Pete is definitely he's on the ticket for the next. I mean, the question is Biden going to be on the next ticket? But if Biden is not around, it's going to be Kamala, and she's going to pick him as the VP, I think.
You think they won't just sub out Biden, that they'll make her the top of the ticket, but then have like a Beto O'Rourke or Pete Buttigieg or.
I don't know. I mean, I asked myself why did they choose immediately to throw Kamala under the bus? And then I take my analysis from there because they did throw her under the bus.
They threw under the bus, so I can't imagine they're going to put her at the top of the ticket.
Yeah, but
they're going to make
maybe it's just simple self-preservation from Biden's perspective. I mean, he doesn't think he probably felt the push to have him removed and tried to make her less popular than she is, which
yeah. I hope Kamala is not our first woman president also. Maybe it's the -9% approval rating. She is so low. She's like Hillary low. I mean, the least popular candidate ever to run for president, apart
Hillary versus Trump.
Hillary, was Trump, and Trump beat her. So there you go. But okay, so now we got a question. What's your favorite mutual aid effort? Okay, that's a great question. What is, if anybody has an idea for mutual aid for Hurricane Ida, I would love to hear it. We do need to help our friends down south who are being just ravaged by climate disaster one after another. And I don't have any to recommend, but I would love to hear from anybody who does.
Yeah, I'll be the first one to say I have no clue. So someone please post that because I'll share happily.
But yeah, mutual aid is certainly where it's at for all of us, I think, in the future, because our government certainly is not doing its work. And then the other way to leverage some power is our one good thing, right? I mean, it's shitty that it has to happen, but it's also like our one good thing.
Yeah, let's show the one good thing. Where is it? We got it here somewhere.
It just got to be like 400 degrees.
Billions of dollars in profit in last year, mainly because we worked and went beyond what was required of us to ensure that our company did well. And to thank us, we're being asked to give back. We're being asked to give back with respect to our health care. We're being asked to give back with respect to our overtime. And we're also being asked to give up our weekends, the time when we treasure spending with our families.
You have like three sort of pillars here. You have shareholders, you have the company, and then you have the workers. And it's because of the workers that the company is able to pay out so much to the shareholders. So if we are going to allow the company to make all this money, make billions of dollars per quarter, and give all this money to shareholders, then why are we not able to have a livable wage where we can maintain ourselves, sustain ourselves as human beings?
Amen. So, I mean, it's so important that they're doing this, and it really does highlight once again that our labor is the only leverage we have. And so I know there's a big movement right now, online and in person, of people who want to organize a general strike. And I know we'll be doing some work with the Fred Hampton leftists and some other podcasters to try to get that out there and organize so that we can do something to make a real impact and force our representatives to do something.
Yeah. So I know Jay Compton J from Fred Hampton's Leftists just reached out, and he, and along with some of the other Fred Hampton leftists, are starting to organize it's going to be a 3-day summit where we discuss, a general strike, because most of us recognize that a general strike takes a lot of infrastructure to back it up, to have a good, you need mutual aid for people who are going to be without work, and a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. So it's just going to be 3 days of talking about it and setting up the situation we need for this to actually happen.
And asking questions and answering concerns. So yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's one that's floating around right now on October 15th, which I don't, to be honest, know much about. I support it in theory. My view is, even it's probably going to be just a 1-day event where it's not going to be the general strike that we need, but it's the general strike that we have. So I'm gonna support it and hope that it sparks more interest. But at longer term, I really think a forum where we discuss this and get a lot of people on board is what we need. And kudos to Jay for getting this started.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll definitely let everybody know about it. Yeah.
And Banjo Bill did post, I don't know anything about them myself, but Anti-Racist South on Twitter has been a good account for mutual aid amplification. So look there. I'll see what I can post on Twitter.
Yeah, same.
So send me something if you know.
And in the meantime, there are a bunch of different worker strikes happening. And, the Nabisco workers I saw, and I don't know if we even have the graphic, but that the unions who run the trains that were delivering flour to the factories refused to deliver flour in solidarity, which, that it really does show that if we all come together and support each other, we can make that impact, but we just need to organize.
Yeah. And I think people need to see that it's something possible, which is why I'm not against the October 15th general strike, even though, we clearly don't have the infrastructure for a sustained strike now, but you never know what can be sparked by these moments. And I think that's important. So when people go out of their way right now to be negative about these events, I question some of their motives for that. So
no movement starts with millions of people. It starts with a couple people in the living room or on a phone call trying to figure it out, right? And then the hope is that it grows. It doesn't start as a thriving movement. Nothing starts that way. So I think we just need to all lift each other up and certainly not waste time punching down at people who are trying to make the world a better place.
Right. I mean, even if you disagree with the long-term strategy of this one event, what does it impact anyone? No one is going to see a general strike that isn't at its full potential and think, oh, we should never have a general strike because that one was small. No, it's just going to raise awareness and only bring more people into the fold, especially if you plan a larger one afterwards, which is the whole shebang. In my opinion, we have to start somewhere.
So I'm an actress, and when you're doing improv, there's this thing that I'm sure everybody's already heard of, where you yes and something instead of no but. And if somebody tries something and it's kind of like Yahoo crazy and it doesn't really work, if you squash that and try to move on to something else, it just kills all the momentum and all the creativity. And so the thing is to yes and whatever somebody gives you. And I feel like that's the only way for all of us to kind of come together and move forward. You can pick apart anybody's actions and why it's not perfect. But as our dear friend leader Obama said, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I just had to say it. But anybody who's spending any time talking about why somebody should be doing his or her actions differently is really, it's like a time energy suck that no one should involve him or herself with, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at just the Medicare for All march recently, so for all the flaws they had that were worthy of criticism, some certainly were, but who was the most vocally against that? It was people that were allegedly allies, and instead of coming in and trying to fix it or coming in to add to it, we saw the opposite happen. So, let's just, I think we need to come together, get as many people as we can to start to recognize the possibility of what we have as far as power goes by withholding our labor. And until then, at least we can support all these strikes. Nabisco, certainly strike worthy. We don't break this. I mean, Nabisco has 1 million products. So I tweeted about it. I'll tweet about it again today. But
yeah, there's a big list of things to avoid. And it has the added benefit of, just in case there's a doctor who doesn't want to treat somebody who's unhealthy because of what he's ingested, you will be doing your body a great service.
Yeah.
I pour my another glass of wine.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win. And we'll let you know about that general strike forum. And we will see you next week, right? Thank you for joining us. Or do you have something to say, Pat? I'm shutting you down because I saw it 6 and I was like, oh God.
I was about to stand on my pedestal and go off, but no, go ahead. Shut me down. No, I got nothing, but cheers. Thank you everyone for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good night, guys. Log off and touch grass.
Touch grass or something.
Most importantly, and I do mean this sincerely, always punch up. Truly, seriously, when you spend time, just punch up. That's the whole deal. Punch up.
Yeah, it's so hard not to take on the little guy, but like even people I disagree with strongly online, they don't have any power. So the people that have power are in the media and they're the politicians. So
that's where
they are worthy of our criticism. And yeah. All right. Night, guys.
All right. Good night. Thanks, guys. Bye.